meeting to order for the month of April. We appreciate the commissioners being here and our staff, and appreciate those in our audience. And we've got several items on the agenda. If you're not satisfied with the decision made by the Traffic and Parking Commission, you may appeal the decision by filing for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. Do I have approval of today's agenda?
So moved.
Move. Second. In discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes carried. And the approval for our Traffic and Parking Commission meeting for March the 12th. Do I have approval?
So moved.
So moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. On our public hearings, we have 2 public hearings today, and we're asking that the comments be kept to 3 minutes or less. Each person representing will be expected to offer new information that has not been made previously. Once the public hearing has been closed, no additional comments will be heard unless the public hearing is officially reopened. I understand we have Councilman Tenpenny with us for both hearings. Councilman, welcome.
Thank you.
Our first appeal is to request to appeal the denial of an all-way stop on Sunrise Avenue at Wingate, requested by Debbie Young and Tom Apple. Will those come forward? We're asking that you use the lectern to my right and your left. Be sure the red light is on. And we have a sign-in sheet at the table. And once you have spoken and leave, be sure and sign the sign-in sheet. So we'll have your name and address, and so we can get in touch with you. So you're now.
Okay, my name is Debbie Young, and I'm here to ask that you consider putting an all-way stop on Sunrise at Wingate Avenue. I've lived on Wingate for 27 years. I grew up just a few streets away. So I've known the neighborhood and this intersection since 1954. I'm very concerned about the speeding on Wingate. This is a long street that encourages cars to build up speed. In addition, drivers are often using Wingate as a cut-through from Antioch Pike to Thompson Lane instead of using Nolensville Road. These are narrow streets and no real shoulder on them. And I'm scared to death. There are also many residential driveways opening onto Wingate, and speeding cars create a dangerous situation for people pulling out from their homes. Wright and Glencliff High schools are located within this area, and we have children walking down the streets on their way to school. We have a lot of new people that have moved into the neighborhood with children, and they walk their dogs, they walk and they ride their bicycles. These new residents are great for the neighborhood, but it's increased danger that someone could be hit with the speeding cars. As I said, I've grown up in this area, and the speeding problem has gotten much worse in the past few years. There have been accidents here. Residents on Wingate, thus Sunrise and Radnor, want to see an all-way stop at Wingate and Sunrise. Several residents have said that if we don't get these stop signs, someone's going to get killed. I have 35 signatures here for y'all to see, asking for this to be implemented. Stop signs have been put on other streets in our area, and the streets are much shorter than Wingate, which becomes a racetrack at certain times of the day. We need these stop signs on Wingate to protect our children and pedestrians. There is a difference. Nobody wants to live on an interstate, and that's what Wingate is becoming. There is a difference in a car going 30 miles an hour and a car going 50 miles an hour. 30 miles an hour is what you want in a neighborhood and not 50. I hope this will help us protect our children and our neighborhood by putting in this always stop. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms.
Tom
Young?
Apple was not able to come today. I'm Mike Hodge, and I did not come to speak really. I just came as moral support because I know how hard she's worked on this.
Well, that's fine. We appreciate you coming. Just be sure, leave your appeal or your petition, rather, on the table. And if both of you would like to speak, even though you didn't speak, that'll be fine. So we'll have a record of your presence. Are there anyone else here? Councilman?
Thank you, Chair and Committee. I come here today in disapproval for the stop sign on Sunrise and Wingate. I've been in that neighborhood all my life. There has been a traffic study done on that road. I know of no police when taking radar down there where there has been anyone that's been trafficked or ticketed for speeding. I think the average speed limit on that street's about 25, 26 miles per hour. I understand the safety of our neighborhoods, and it's deep in my heart that we take every action that we can to make sure that our pedestrians, our people of our districts, everyone is safe and secure when they're walking the roads. And, you know, like I said, pushing children and families walking the roads. But this is one spot that's a stop sign to nowhere. There's a stop sign right on the corner of Antioch Pike and Wingate. When you turn on Wingate, the first street is Thus. If we want one on Sunrise, why don't we put one on Thus? If we want one on Thus, just a little bit down the road, there's Radnor Street. We could put one there too. I just want to make sure in my district, when I put stop signs up or traffic lights, I want to make sure that they are for a safety reason and that there's some reason for that stop sign to go there. And the reason I'm asking for disapproval, there's been no wrecks on Wingate at all. There is no speeding that goes on in Wingate. And we have other roadways in my district that I think need stop signs or traffic lights or different things that's going on. And when those arise, those really need to be addressed. So I would really ask for disapproval for this stop sign. I think there's other places in our district that need it 100 times more than this area right here. And I just ask for your disapproval. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. If you would, please sign the sign-in sheet there also. Staff, any remarks from the staff on this?
Pretty basic information. Corby, if you go to the data slide, here's some pictures if the commission would like to look at them. Sight distance, pretty good. This is exiting Sunrise, looking left and right. Approaching Sunrise up on your left. The basic items we look for: traffic volume, accidents, and sight distance. In this case, majority of your traffic is on Wingate, as you would expect, 2,700, with about 200 or so coming out of Sunrise. You've probably heard me give the speech before about we want 50-50, give or take a little bit, and we'd like more volume than you see there. The speed limit posted is 30. As the councilman said, the average speed was 26, I believe, and what we call the 85th percentile speed was 33, 32, depending on the direction you go. No accidents, and basically what you call an unwarranted situation, where the installation of an always stop just isn't warranted from a technical standpoint. That's why we have this commission. We get to hear both sides of the story, but from a technical standpoint, no reason for an always stop here.
Any other comments from?
Now, let me say, no, we don't slam the door like that either. We've got a traffic calming program. We've got other items we can do, but our recommendation is to deny the always stop, and then we'll open the door to other ideas so we can get with the neighborhood or the councilman on some other things.
Okay, good.
I have a question for Ms. Young. That street being so close to the high school, did you say that people park on that street during school hours?
They park at Antioch.
Ms. Young, would you come to the mic, please? Thank you.
They do park on Wingate at Antioch Pike in the afternoons to pick up their children from Wright and some from Glencliff. Yes, sir.
What I'm asking, though, is there parking there during school hours? The kids who drive to school, teachers?
No, on Wingate?
Yeah,
No, sir. There's no parking.
okay.
No, sir.
Yeah, it's probably about a 23-foot wide roadway, too narrow for parking on the street.
Because I drove it twice, I will tell you, and as a shortcut between Thompson Lane and Antioch Pike, I could just, and it being so straight until you get to that horrendous curve, I was just very much concerned that the speed limit, even at 30, might be too much as you approach that curve and all you have are arrows. Maybe that's where a stop sign needs to go. And I'm amazed that there have been no accidents at that curve, because it took me absolutely by surprise.
Out the curve, there has been accidents at that curve in the past. There has been.
That I'm thinking that maybe a stop sign, as you're requesting, might slow traffic down before it gets to that curve.
If we did that, that would be on down the street, maybe Radnor, that'd be something that we could possibly look at. But I'm just saying, from the cars that's coming out of Sunrise, they usually go to Nolensville Road to get out. There's not enough usage of Sunrise to constitute an all-way stop sign. Maybe at Radnor, and something that me and Mr. Word and us could talk about with the S-curve down in the bottom of Wingate. I think that could be something that really needs to be addressed. Now, that is a safety.
I'm also wondering, Ms. Young, you said you had 30 people sign the petition?
35, yes, sir.
That's a lot of people. Okay.
In addition to that, I have a question. So, Mr. Hodge, I know that you represent the Neighborhood Resource Center. So have you all had community meetings in regards to this stop sign?
I'm actually here filling in for Tom Apple, who is
Oh,
the
okay.
staff person that's been working with that. But to my knowledge, there has not been a community meeting about this. Ms. Young would know better than I.
Okay.
But she's been talking to the neighbors about the problem.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
And to the councilman, so I just want to make sure I understand, you're against the stop sign being placed at Wingate and Sunrise, sorry. But you're not opposed to it being somewhere else on that same street, but just not at that particular location?
Something that we could look at, there's not been, and you can check the police and the reports and everything, there's not been a whole lot of action on Wingate and Morton, even through that S-curve down there. Now, in the past, there have been some accidents down there, but very, very few. Because the people that come through there, they know about that curve, and they know about that S-curve, and they go very slow when they come around there. You don't have a whole lot of speeding going on around there. If this road, I mean, there's other roads in the district that really need to be looked at. This road, right, it's a stop sign to nowhere. I mean, if there was traffic coming just all day long and coming out of Sunrise, and there was people getting hit, or if there was wrecks, or if there was radar set up and there was speeding going on, by all means, put it there. I tell you, I just had a lady hit on Nice Drive, and we've been really needing to get something done there. It's a cut through also, through Space Park South. We've got cars overturning the neighbor's front yard.
Councilman, I hate to interrupt, but would you go to the mic, please?
And I was telling you, on Nice Drive and Glencliff Road, we've got a situation right now where traffic is really started to get a lot of traffic through there because of Space Park South and the cut through to Harding Place. Well, it's a big hill, and once you're committed off of that hill, you've got neighbors, it's houses all the way down that hill. We had a neighbor hit 2 months ago, and they haven't made it home from the hospital yet. We had a young lady 2 weeks ago jogging on that road, and a truck committed doing 55 miles an hour off the top of the hill and hit her and knocked her into a ditch, and thank God that she was saved. Those are the kind of places that I really look for in the district to do work at and to really help calm traffic and make it safe for the constituents. I've been in this area all of my life. I know this area. If I thought for any minute at all that this was a safety hazard or something was going on, I would try to put a stop sign up there in a heartbeat. But to tell you the truth, it's just not warranted. I mean, if it was warranted, it would be there. I understand Miss Debbie has 35 signatures, but the people that I've talked to, they live on that road, they live on Morton, they travel it every day. They're like, why are you putting a stop sign somewhere that goes to nowhere? If nothing else, that stop sign probably would be a hamper to the constituents in the neighborhood. Again, if the stop sign was needed, me as a council person, and for safety and concerns, I would say please vote for this, but there's no safety concerns. There's no auto wrecks. There's no speeding. There's nothing. I mean, look at the neighborhood. These roads, thus Sunrise and Radnor, they all cut through to Nolensville Road also. People don't come out to Wingate to go. They go up to the Nolensville Road area to drive. So Sunrise virtually has no traffic coming out of it. Once again, I just can't see a traffic sign going there. There's other places in our district that require attention and immediate attention. And I want to work on those areas for safety. And this is not, folks, this is not a safety issue at all.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, can we look at the list? Can we look at the list?
Sure.
And Chip, also I had another question as well. So we have done a traffic, or we've monitored the speed on this street to know that there's not excessive speeding. Is that something that we know at this particular point?
Yeah, we did what we call a tube count, a 24-hour count. Of those 2,700 cars that I told you about, we had 10 that were going over 40. No, over 46, I apologize. The other 2,690 were doing less than that, and that gets into that 85th percentile. But yeah, there are some speeding. Like I said, there's 10 vehicles that we got on that one day that were over 46. Other days it may be more than that. Other days it may be higher speeds than that. I don't know. We just did the tube count on one day, which is very common for us.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Any other comments? Anyone else wish to speak in this behalf?
Let me add one quick thing, just so you all have all the information you need. A few years back, the commission approved a signal at Nolensville and Morton. I don't even know if you remember that, but that signal is still planned to go in. When that signal goes in, it's on your picture there. The cut-through traffic on Wingate very well may increase, and at that point, we could do another study, and if your volumes have gone up, if your speeding's gone up, then you put in the all-way stop. Until that signal goes in, the traffic patterns out there are hard to predict. We hope to put that signal in next year. Just wanted you to have that information, because that will create some cut-throughs.
So staff, you want to give a recommendation?
We're recommending, for now, remain as is. And upon request of the council member, or the data changes, or other things happen out there, the signal goes in, we come back and look at it again. In the interim, Benny works with the councilman in the neighborhood. We do some other traffic calming items. Get those 10 speeders off the road.
Right. We're already working, as Councilman stated. We're already taking a look at Nice Drive and Lincoln, some other areas within his district as far as traffic calming is concerned. It wouldn't be an issue for us to take this up as well while we're out there and try to meet with the neighborhood. And I think that would be a good alternative to what they're trying, that would accomplish what they want, possibly as well as, going with what the councilman was saying as far as the ill need for the stop sign at the time. So I think hopefully that would work out for them as well. We can get with them and work with them on the traffic calming side and see if we can do something that way.
I myself, I would definitely personally like to see maybe a community meeting. I know every district has neighborhood associations and things. I think it's a great start to have 30 signatures on a petition for it, but I think it would be a great idea to get the councilman involved and maybe having a neighborhood meeting, because I guess you have a group of people or constituents that feel that a stop sign is needed, and then you all obviously have already done the groundwork to say that you guys would like the stop sign to be there. And I just think that before I feel that we should move forward with doing an appeal, maybe there should be more community input as a whole to for you guys to come together on it and then maybe present it again.
Well, I'll tell you what will happen. If you put in the always stop, they're just going to cut down another street. And then we're back here next month with another always stop.
Okay. The commission has heard both sides. And are there any questions either from the audience or our commission? If not, I'll entertain a vote. Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we leave the stop the way that it is now.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes that this stay as is. Thank you for coming. And Councilman, you're on our next item on the agenda. Okay. Our next item is a request to appeal the denial or removal of the loading zone at 2515 Nolensville Pike, requested by Mr. Andy Newman. Mr. Newman, well, first of all, does the staff will make any comments first, or you like to wait till we hear from Mr. Newman?
Background information on the loading zone. It was requested by Mr. Sam, and I'm sorry I can't pronounce his name, and it was approved by the Traffic and Parking Commission in September 2009. The commissioners are in receipt of 3 letters from tenants at these businesses that are requesting that the loading zone stays.
The loading zone that Ms. Marshall is referring to is actually next door.
It's actually at 2517 Nolensville Road.
And if you're not familiar with it, Mr. Newman has 2 spaces in front of his business, and the loading zone next door has 2+ spaces.
That is correct.
And Mr. Newman is requesting that the loading zone next door to him be removed. Mr. Newman, I don't know if you're aware, and I'm not putting words into your mouth and so forth, we want you to be heard. And but all loading zones are for the use of the general public. Even though it's placed next door, it's not just for their use only. If that was the case, we'd have to put a loading zone in front of every place of business, downtown and all over. So your customers, as long as they're loading and unloading, has a right to use that zone just as much as your next door neighbor. So if you'd like to speak and be heard, we welcome you. Just go to the mic, and we'd like to hear your comments.
Thank you to the Commission for hearing this matter. Again, my name is Andy Newman. I am the owner of the property located at 2515 Nolensville Pike. I have owned this property since 2005 and currently have 4 service-type business operating out of that location since 2007. Again, I'm here today to request removal of the 2 loading zones located on Nolensville Pike. I do agree with you that the loading zones are for everyone's use, just as public parking is for everyone's use. They're for no one's particular use. My understanding is the original intent of was to create street parking on the Nolensville Pike corridor, was to encourage more businesses to relocate in this area by creating street parking. I believe this has helped, and it is working. Most of the locations are now occupied. So I believe that the intent of the spaces has been fulfilled, and the parking is, again, for general public and not for my use or anybody else's use, but on a first-come, first-served basis. I don't own the 2 spaces in front of me, and Sam should not own the 2 spaces in front of him. His rights and my rights should be equal to all the parking along that corridor as a business owner. I also have a signed petition of people in the area that would wish not to have loading zones located on that corridor, and also have my local councilman here to speak on my behalf that the loading zone should be removed. I believe that there's no use for loading on the street. All the businesses have an alley runs back of their property, which all have rear entrances, which is mostly used for loading and unloading of materials and items. We have been there since 2007, and I would say on an average, there's one, maybe that area is used once a month at the most for unloading and loading of items. Reason why I personally would like to see that is my own personal business reasons, okay? I will be honest. I run a home repair business. We have craftsmen that use those, that leave the park out front. They come into my office for 30 minutes to an hour to unload, to pick up paperwork, supplies, so forth. And meetings. Parking out in the back is a little risky. Their tools have been ripped off. Thus, 2 weeks ago, we had someone break into our chained-in link fence, cut the lock, and stole ladders out of our back. So it's a little bit unsafer in the back because there's no public view or glass view of that area. Also, my staff comes in early, comes in late, and evening hours and mornings when it's dark out, it's a little unsafe to walk out the back entrance or around the building. Parking out front is a safety and security issue for them also. I've been asked to park.
Is your mic on, Mr. Newman? The red button there.
Yeah, it says speak.
Yeah, I think you hit it when you put your paper down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The red light has to be on this.
Okay.
It says speak.
You got it.
Okay. Okay, I understand that through the parking, that one of the reasons was, as you stated, that 3 of the tenants have requested this loading zone. All 3 of the tenants are, I believe, tenants of Sam, the owner. I believe he has duress and forced those people to sign those letters. I've had a direct conversation with one of the owners of the property who needs that parking in the front to get his zoning clearance to open up his property. It makes no logical sense that retail business wants to take away the most valuable parking in front of their business and put loading where people can't load, where people cannot park. So again, I think this makes common sense to open up to general parking, what the intent of what the city had for this parking. And I'm asking that this commission vote to remove these signs. There was not an intent to limit the use of the parking at the beginning. The neighborhood, except for the owner of 2517 or 19, wants them removed. There is no need for street loading. The loading zone is rarely used. The police cannot enforce this, and I don't expect them to do. There's not designated staff for that, and there's no way to enforce the loading zone, and we have the councilman's support. So again, I ask for you to have the loading zone signs removed. Thank you.
Before you leave, let me ask a question. I was out there last week, and I think you came out one of the trips I was there. I noticed you park your vehicle in front of your building.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you park in the back?
Because I'm the first one in. I usually get in the building somewhere around 6:30 in the morning. The park in the back and walk around is a little unsafe. I'm in and out of that building on a regular basis, bringing in simple paperwork assignments, so forth.
But there's several spaces on the side that was marked. I noticed. I walked back there, and your truck is taking up space that your customers and others could be using.
Okay,
Why don't you park on the side?
I guess I could, but again, I thought this was public parking for public use.
Well, you're asking for the signs to be removed next door so customers can park. And if you'll park there, you're taking up space for your customers.
I guess I asked for the removal of signs that aren't needed and being used.
Okay.
Well,
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to ask him. You said your employees need to park out front?
My craftsmen like to park out front.
No, you said your
my
employees, your secretary or
They like to park out front.
But if she parks out front, how is your other employees going to come and unload material and load material?
Okay, then there was originally 4 spaces out there. We do all the loading and unloading of materials in the back. I apologize. We drop off paperwork, job assignments, and so forth through the front.
But if they're parked out there, how are they going to use them?
Again, we use the street parking in front of us. There's more than just those 4 spaces in front of our building. There's spaces in front of the bank. There's spaces up and down Nolensville Pike.
You can't get but one vehicle on 25 feet.
And there's 4 spots.
4 vehicles on 25 feet?
There's parking available for 4 vehicles in front of 2515 and 2519.
You just showed
There's an offset there.
Go back one,
2 in
Corby.
front of his and 2 in front of the.
That shows pretty much the entire bay. There's 2 vehicles in there, and that remaining portion right there is pretty much where the loading zone is.
Okay.
Okay,
Go ahead, bro.
any questions from any other commissioners, from Mr. Newman? Councilman, would you like to speak in this matter?
Let me ask him a question.
I'm sorry, go
What
ahead.
hinders you from, and I went over and looked at it too, what hinders you from parking in the back? Because the way the building is made, there are entrances for everyone in the back anyway. So, I mean, why can't you just park back there?
Nothing hinders me from parking in the back, with the exception is the main entrance and the alarm system and the lock system only allows us access through the front of the building. But when you're first coming in the morning at 6:30 in the morning, walking in the back, especially when it's dark out, is a little bit unsafe.
So let me ask you this, if your car is there and your secretary's car is there.
I didn't say my secretary's car there or my staff was there.
Your
There's
staff
parking
is there.
all along the road
If
that
they're
we
there
use.
an hour.
What?
You said 30 minutes to an hour.
No, I said our craftsmen come in from 30 minutes to an hour.
So with your car, the point is, with your car and their car, that only leaves 2 other parking spaces.
Again, I'm not sure where you're getting the 2 other parking spaces.
It's 4, right?
There's 4. I park there when I open up the building, and I'm in and out of the place on a regular basis. Okay? Our craftsmen, who have trucks with tools and equipment, come in and out on a regular basis. Parking in the back is unsafe when you have loose tools and equipment in a back alley. They have many instances where their tools and equipment we had theft.
But
Do the loading zone spaces have a time limit?
Normally it's 30-minute limit.
Per code, there's a 30-minute.
Loading zones, these loading zones next door, I understand there's a new business going in, and they have to have loading and unloading into their businesses. If he's going to take up his space for his private, then his customers got to park next door. That loading zone next door needs to stay, in my opinion.
I do not believe that's the case with the coffee shop coming in. The facts are the coffee shop is 1,600 square feet. It needs 16 parking spots per the codes. They have 8 spots in the back. They have a letter from the bank that gives them 4 more. And then they have a waiver of 3 spots being on a traffic route. They need that extra spot for public parking, for they can grant their zoning clause.
Do we have any official word from your neighbor on where they stand on this as well?
My neighbor, Eddie Christie, called Miss Marshall last week and stated that fact.
And he has also submitted a letter at this time requesting that the loading zone stay because of the grade behind the building. He cannot take deliveries from the rear of the building.
And he's also told me that it was done under duress from his tenant and landlord, from his landlord.
We're not going to get into this now.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments you have?
I'm answering the questions.
I only have one question for Mr. Sam. Do people actually use the loading zone for your business? Yes, they do. And we have proof of obviously using the loading zone as well. So
I do not use the loading zone.
Okay, you don't use the loading zone?
No, I do not use a loading
The
zone.
loading zone is directly in front of your business, correct? And you have people that use it on a daily basis? Pretty often?
Put up a camera.
Can I ask which businesses those are?
What he says.
No, I'm going to...
I ask what businesses they are.
Well, we have 3 letters here that request to keep it. I just want to know if you
I understand, but the three businesses are a coffee shop that hasn't opened up, a leasing firm that leases staff, and a church.
And all 3 of these use it as well?
That's what he's alleging, that are using the loading zone on a regular basis.
Mr. Chair, let me chime in just a second here and tell you how we look at loading zones. When we get a request for a loading zone, it's a pretty basic study. We see if there's a demand for on-street parking that would prohibit us, or it'd be inefficient for us to put a loading zone there. We look for the need for the loading, and we look for an agreement from the tenants. And in this case, you've got on-street parking up and down Nolensville Road, and you have parking in the back, you know that. You've got an agreement, at least that we see, from the tenants. And we have the demand, we have the agreement from the tenants, and we don't have the demand for the parking. So those are the 3 things that all check for us. And so we say, back in 2 years ago, we said put the loading zone in, and nothing has changed since then. Now, if we got an agreement from the tenants or demand from parking finally, just skyrocketed, we'd take another look at it, but nothing's changed out there.
Could we have a picture of the sign itself? Okay, there's one. When I would drive up to that and I see loading zone 30 minute, well, I'm not going to park there because I didn't realize that I can park
As long
in a
as you're
loading zone.
as long as you're loading and unloading, that's what it's for.
Right.
But you can't stay longer than 30 minutes. You move, somebody else moves in.
But it could only be, didn't you just say that I could park there as a civilian, if you will?
No, that's what.
Not if you're not loading and unloading.
Okay.
We're doing business. Any other comments? Let's keep it moving. Mr. Newman, any other comments you want to make?
No.
Okay. Councilman, you want any comments you'd like? Any questions or comments or statements from the commissioners? Yes. You're welcome to speak in your behalf. If you'd like to, go to the mic. Mr. Newman, be sure and sign the registry there. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sam Kaw. I'm the owner of the building on 2517 Northern Road. I own this building I bought it in 1997, and Mr. Newman has moved down there since 07. I have a 2-story building. In the first floor, I have as you can see, 2 large display windows, which before the sign was in place, there used to be vehicles, sometimes large vehicles, like SUVs or truck would be parking right in front of this display window and will cover the entire display window. And my tenants will not be able to show their merchandise. And not only that, they wouldn't be able to bring anything to their store or take anything out because the cars would be able to park there for 24/7, and there was nothing against it. My dear neighbor, Mr. Newman, moved down there since 07, and he will get early, as he mentioned himself. He get there early in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, before any of my tenants get there. He would park his Chevy Suburban, right in front of my store. And that gone on for so many months. And my tenants start complaining, and they asked him politely, please do not park there. But that did not work. And I went to the public work, asked them, please investigate this problem. They came out there and they investigated for 7 months. Mr. Newman conduct his business from the rear side of his building. He will park his cars, his vehicles front of my place and his own place, and he will conduct his business from the rear. That area is very safe. He is there in the daytime. He's not there at night. He did the thing that is unsafe. That's not the truth. He just wants to harass me, harass my tenants. He took me to the court. This is not the place to say all that, but I'm so emotional. This guy ruined my family's life, ruined my kids' life. If you go over to his place and talk to him, you would run across his anger. I'm so sorry. This is a little bit personal. But
That's fine. We get the message. You're okay.
I'm so
You're
sorry
fine.
to mention all this. I tried to keep it to myself and not mentioning it. But this gentleman, that's what he's been doing to me and my family. And this is not the time for me to sell the building. He wants that, but I cannot do it.
Yes.
This is what's happening. I'm very sorry. I wasn't planning to be emotional and saying all this, but this is the truth. I mean, he ran off a few of my tenants down there. He went, he harassed them. They were a Spanish background. He would put his finger in their shoulder, tell them what to do. Now I have American tenants there. He knows he cannot do that. That's what he wants to move those signs. That he could park right 4 cars front of his place and my place and conduct his business from rear side of his building.
Chairman,
he harassed me
Chairman
so many
Ward,
times with the litters and
Chairman
so many
Ward,
other things.
Is it okay to take a motion at this point?
Let's take a motion.
Yes, your point's well taken up, and I appreciate you. So we're ready to, I think the commission has heard what they
I'm
need
so
to hear.
sorry.
from-
I did not want to, I just want to be not mentioning all this, but I just couldn't control my emotion.
Well, I'm fixing to call the public hearing to a close here, unless there's anyone else wish to speak. So I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to ask for a motion.
Motion to deny the appeal.
Motion for denial has been made and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. It's been unanimously approved. Mr. Newman, your appeal has been denied. Next item on our agenda
Thank you.
is our consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda. The first 2 items on our consent agenda will be voted on by hand vote. A request, proposal number 2012M-003AB-001, a request to abandon an unnumbered alley easement to be abandoned from Joseph Avenue eastward to its terminus, to be used to construct an athletic field, requested by Metro General Services. The applicant is Metropolitan Government, which is the owner. This is on the consent agenda. Does anyone want to discuss this? Any of these items? If not, we'll have a hand vote. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Have a motion and a second. Hand vote. All in favor? Voted unanimous. Has been approved. Resolution 12-04, modify speed limit on Charlotte Pike from White Bridge Road to Sawyer Brand Road from 50 mile per hour to 45 mile per hour. And also authorize stop on Sumatra at Golden Hill Drive. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Have a motion, second? Hand vote? It is unanimous. The next items, we can vote by voice vote on our consent agenda. Authorized stop at Ilyawood Drive and Cedarmont Circle. Authorize valet parking on the south side of 20th Avenue South at Adelicia. Remove valet parking on the south side of Church Street from 18th Avenue South to 17th Avenue South. Modify parking restrictions on Observatory Drive to and from Belmont Boulevard. No parking 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to no parking anytime. Modify parking restrictions on Bernard Avenue from 18th Avenue South to 17th, and from residential parking permit with 1 hour non-permit parking to residential permit parking only. Is that right, Ms. Marshall?
Yes,
Okay. Modify speed limit on Cross Creek Road from Valley Brook Drive or Valley Brook Road to Abbott Martin Road from 25 mile per hour to 30 mile per hour. This is just to change the records only. Modify speed limit on Valley Brook Road from Woodmont Boulevard west intersection to Woodmont Boulevard to east intersection from 25 mile per hour to 30 mile per hour. This also has changed the records. And then we have our reports, our parking report, and engineering report. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All in, second?
Second.
All in favor? So approved. Any comments or any, oh, yes, we do have other business. We have an item from, I think Ms. Marshall is going to make a report on the downtown partnership.
Well, let us gather our thoughts here for a second. Are we okay to proceed with this from our legal advisor? If not, I got a different direction we might could go.
So typically, you don't want to vote on anything that's not on the agenda because Metro Code provides that you need to provide public notice of everything you're going to discuss. So interested members of the public, if they want to come in and voice their opinion on it, they would have that opportunity. This contract didn't make it onto the agenda. If the commission votes on it, you know, and somebody were upset, you could potentially run into a problem there. But you know, that's just my legal advice.
And let me ask you a question. This is a recommendation to council where there is also public hearings, public input.
Correct, and I think that's a good point. And you could put it on the agenda for the next meeting after public notice and ratify, you know, provide an opportunity here for public comment, just to kind of make sure that everybody had an opportunity to be heard.
Okay. Our legal advisor has spoken. So since it's not on the agenda, staff, it'll be on the agenda next month, right?
I'm suggesting we go ahead and hear it and make a recommendation with an asterisk next to it that says, if we get other information, we'll put it on the agenda also for next month, see if anybody shows up. But I think the timeline dictates that we do something today, in my opinion. The current contract is expiring, and by the time it goes to council for the 3 readings and the public input at the council level, we're up against the crunch time where the current contract ends and we don't have a new one in place. What we're talking about, commissioners, we have a contract with Downtown Partnership to provide management of our facilities. I think you all know the agreement with those guys, but that contract is about to end. And so you have to make a recommendation to council on a new contract. And we're up against the clock on one ending and one beginning. And Diane can go through all that, what the agreements are and that sort of thing.
Basically, it's the same terms as the original contract was, with the exception of the new contract will be for a 5-year time period. So what we're asking is, if we can, is for the commission to make a recommendation to council to continue management operations of the Metro facility by the Nashville Downtown Partnership.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
And you're okay.
Well, we'll have to vote on that, so I move that we vote on that today.
Okay.
And so we could send that recommendation to the council. Otherwise, the council will have to defer it
Right, we're getting to a time limit here, and we get off schedule.
Yeah.
That's fine. Downtown Partnership has been operating these facilities. They've done a good job. And I think the staff's going to make. Yes, we have yes, would you like to speak?
Only if necessary.
Okay. It's going your way. It's going your way, so. Okay. So so do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, may I would like to disclose that I am on the Board of Directors of the Nashville Downtown Partnership, so I will excuse myself from voting on this.
Okay. That is proper. Thank you. Okay.
So move.
So we have
But right now, we're voting to vote on it today.
yes. Okay, I have a motion and do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ayes, carry.
Well, I think what Councilman Harrison was asking just now, we're voting to whether we're going to vote or not. I think that's the way I heard him.
Right.
And so now we've got that out of the way. Now let's talk about the contract itself.
Okay. Speak up.
Now, we need a recommendation or a motion from someone to approve or recommend not approving the contract itself, now that you've agreed to vote today.
I would move approval of the contract.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Are we all on the same page? Okay, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes, carried. Okay. Any other comments from any of the commissioners or staff? Okay. Our next meeting will be on May the 14th. And the official duty of the Metro Police Officer so he makes a motion to adjourn it. We have a second.
So moved.
We are adjourned, and thank you for being here.